Good morning, everyone, and welcome to what I think will be a very interesting one-on-one that I will have with my guest today. His name is Bruno Pesce, and he's a business consultant in what he says helps business leaders innovate profitably. Only a slight part of his vast knowledge will be brought to you today, and I'm very happy to introduce Bruno to you. Bruno, hello and welcome.
Hello, happy to be here with you today.
How about disrupting our business thoughts and ideas today?
Yes, I hope I do that.
We are waiting patiently. Just before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Isabella Vertar, and I will be your host for today. And I'll ask Bruno some questions. And also, I would just like to add that this one-on-one is being recorded. And afterwards, in a few days' time, you can see it on the Virtual Job Tech Expo 2023 platform. So I will not prolong anymore. I would like to introduce my today's guests. First, I want to put out a question to all of the audience here with us today. We don't know who they are, but hopefully they will write it down in Q&As and comment section so we can feel their pulse on this subject. I want to ask you, have you ever had an idea that you thought that would change the world, or at least the world that you know, as you know it, your world? I had many, but I'm still stuck in the same rut and in the same world. I don't know if you're still on the right path, but my guest speaker today, Bruno, will help us navigate the future in making ideas work. As I've already mentioned, Bruno is a business consultant. His strong point is innovation through critical out-of-the-box thinking and organizational skills. In addition to vast corporate experience with many brands, Bruno also runs the community of entrepreneurs counting several thousand members. He's currently undertaking a doctorate in organizational change with a specific focus on the issues with innovation in large enterprises. Bruno has also co-authored the Augmented Strategy book, a practical guide to decision-making based on data and human intuition. The name of this one-on-one, as you're already familiar, is 3 Ways to Sabotage Your Idea. I presume there are millions of ways to sabotage our ideas, but these 3, as Bruno says, are the first ones to tackle if you're trying to create a business or a career path with impact and meaning. So let me just start with an easy question, Bruno. How many of us are even aware of the difference between a thought and an idea?
I don't really know. It's difficult to say. Unfortunately, I'm not psychic. I'm not sure if I would love to be psychic, but what I hope is that
but some say that you are, you know? Some would argue.
What I do hope, Isabella, is that people now listening and those watching the recording will know what is the difference after our brief conversation. Right. Before I start delving into the difference, I just want to highlight why should you even care? So everybody listening in on this call, it doesn't matter if you would like to build a career in a corporate, in a family business, in a small business, or maybe as a freelancer or entrepreneur. All of you are going to be working with ideas all your life. It's gonna be your ideas, it's gonna be ideas of other people, it's gonna be who knows what, but each and every one of you will work with ideas. And that's why what I want to share today is critical for your sustained success, because a lot of frustration and friction comes from misunderstanding what I say thought versus ideas. A thought is something you have when you're having a shower, you know, or when you're walking, hiking the mountain, Sljeme or whatever, and you kind of just get this thing in your head and you think, oh, this is such a brilliant idea. Let's say you're hiking and maybe you learned about this new AI or ChatGPT or something. You think, oh, I could use it to write grants or something like that. And you think you have an idea. You don't have an idea. You have a thought. A thought is unfinished, ephemeral. It's like a clay. It's unshaped yet. You have to shape it. You have to put it down. What we differentiate between thought and idea is very, very simple. It's 3 simple questions. If you cannot answer them, you do not have an idea. And these 3 questions, the opposite of them, are the easiest way to sabotage yourself. So the first one, the very, very essential beginning, and the easiest way to sabotage your idea is to believe and tell people that your idea is for everybody and everyone. It might be, it probably isn't, but it might be. You know, you never cannot say for 100%. But what I can say with nearly 100%, if you set out with an idea that you believe is for everyone, you're gonna be nothing to nobody. So if you want to avoid this first pitfall, you have to be able to answer who is your idea for. And that answer doesn't have to be precise like for Bruno Pesce or for Isabella Vrtar, but it has to be at the level that is workable. Workable is not what we usually call demographics. And those for you calling in that aren't familiar with that terminology, historic way to segment people were this demographic data, which would be age, where you live, income bracket, etc., etc., etc. I'm not talking about that. What I'm rather talking about is going to a specific group of people that you can use one sentence together with what they're trying to get done. For example, family planning their travel. That's a good who. Like it is not extremely niche and precise. It gives you some room to breathe, but it's also not everybody everywhere. Another one could be families going to the beach. Again, it is a little bit fluffy, but it's not too fluffy and it is not too precise. If you cannot answer who is it for, then you're in a very bad spot, because the more you work on your idea before having an answer who is it for, the more you run the risk of ending up with a problem where you have a solution looking for people. And that is the worst position to be in, especially if you're an entrepreneur or a freelancer or a small company that doesn't have huge marketing budgets to basically force or convince people that your idea is something that everybody must buy.
Because most of the people don't have money to make a need. They need to have a community first.
Exactly. The most expensive thing you can do is when you put yourself in a position to educate the market or force others. Because it's an important thing you mentioned. I just gonna briefly mention this and then move to the second way to sabotage yourself. People think that it is bad if somebody else came up with a similar idea. No, it is bad if no one else come with your idea. It is good if there are similar ideas, because that means that there is some need out there. So don't despair if you come up with an idea that you believe, oh, this isn't so original. Who cares if it's valuable? Okay, digression over. Let's say you're able to answer who is this idea for. You still don't have a completed idea. You must move to the second part of molding your thought. And that is, what is it about? A lot of people start answering this by calling out specific technology. You know, we're gonna use blockchain, we're gonna use ChatGPT now, whatever is popular these days. That is incomplete answer. In fact, if you're focused purely on technology, this to me is a signal that your idea might not be evergreen, that it might be very fragile. The moment that that technology disappears or it changes or it evolves, your idea shatters. That is bad. What your idea is about, when you're answering that question, you should focus on, okay, I have the people and they're trying to do something. How am I part of that? How is my idea part of that, let's call it customer journey or story or whatever it is they're doing? And again, here, when you're answering this for the very first time for yourself, remember, this is something you can do in half an hour. You do not need to go to the very specific standard operating procedures, making a process map, etc. Just in big chunks. We have a family that is planning a travel. My solution or my idea is about making that process a little bit less frustrating, because when I plan my travel, I remember it's so difficult to compare prices, and I have to go to all these different websites, and when I click on them, all these weird ads jump at me and I don't know what's real, what isn't real. So my idea is about making that a little bit easier and a little bit less frustrating. That's perfectly fine level of abstraction when you're transforming for a thought to an idea. You still don't have an idea though.
But maybe we have a solution.
An
So we're aiming
inkling,
for a
an
solution.
inkling.
Yeah, we're aiming for solutions. If I may just interrupt between this one and the next step. This is very. It's not a revolutionary way of thinking. It should be a normal way of thinking, but we just pass through our lives not thinking about it. I can imagine that you meet people who say, "Well, I wish I knew that when I was a student, maybe even a pupil."
Yes, it is. For
It's
better or worse, I find that a lot of things we have to keep relearning. We call this once we become aware of it, we call it this is common sense. It might be common sense, but it is not common practice. So we have to remind each other, hey, let's go back to our common sense and make it something that we do every day. And the previous panelists, they mentioned about educational system, and sometimes educational system is different from what's expected in practice, etc. I'm a product of Croatian educational system. And let me tell you, I traveled the world, I studied abroad as well, and I was surprised. People say, no, our universities are very old school. But let me tell you something. When I was at a Scandinavian university, their level of mathematics and physics and engineering subjects was so low, I was shocked. People were asking, like, what does this equation do? And I'm thinking to myself, this is what I learned at the first year of my college. Yes, we didn't have laboratories with fancy equipment, and no, we did not get a budget to make our own prototypes. And our library had books from, I don't know, 90s. But still, what I was taught, I found extremely useful. Where I'm going with that is, what you need, you have it. Today, access to knowledge, information, etc. is unprecedented. If at any moment you feel like, oh, I need to learn something, like really today, not just libraries, but going online and finding something useful is so easy. So do not despair if you're on this call. And one of the panelists said, technology isn't just for engineers anymore. That is absolutely true. Of course, I'm biased. I'm an engineer.
Of course you
But
are.
it
I
is
haven't
for
even
everyone.
mentioned it, but we are all saw that in you. That's interesting. What you also said. Don't worry about the technology so much in pitching the idea and the execution of it. Mentioning technology, technology comes as a tool on the way with the idea, not before the idea. So it's a common mistake to have technologically very broad possibilities, but the lack of the idea and the value of it, and what you will also say with the next steps, it's very easy to misguide yourself when you are creating something meaningful, business, new career path, or whatever. I think this is a learning for life, or how we call it in Croatia, a school for life.
Absolutely. I'm gonna make a small digression because I think it might be valuable to the audience. When we talk about technology, it's very valuable to think about technology as means to achieve specific ends. So it is just a pathway. It is not an end in of itself. Now, I understand that on this call there might be people at different level of education, high school, universities, still studying. When you think about technologies as skills, that is something a little bit different. So if you're studying computer science, you might be picking different technologies, meaning different programming languages that you want to learn. Again, it is useful to think which languages will help me do what I want to do best. Of course, if you're at the stage of life where you don't actually know what you want to do, what kind of career you want to build, then you could switch that criteria and think about, okay, which of the languages are, let's say, most generalizable? Which can I use for different purposes, etc., etc., etc. You might have a question, what should I do if my idea or my thought does have technology in it? Should I just completely abandon it? No, but try to figure out, what do you think that technology should have made easier? Or what do you think that technology should have enabled? So you're switching from means to ends, or ways to achieve something, to achieving something. Or I guess another metaphor would be you're switching from the running style to where you want to arrive. So always move and figure out where you want to be and then work your way backwards. That saves you a lot of time and frustration and is a wonderful way to work with ideas.
Great. We'll have 5 or 6 ways not to sabotage your ideas, but let's move a step forward to what the story, moral of the story today is. So if you could just give us some more examples and ideas of ideas put in action.
Of course, of course. So we started with 3 ways to sabotage, and I said, so first one, you have a thought. To start molding it into an idea, you have to answer who is it for. Then you have to answer what is it about. You still do not have a completed idea. There is a final thing you have to mold your thought to really have an idea, and that is answering what is the benefit. And here, a lot of people that come up with thoughts and start thinking and transforming them into ideas, they believe that the benefit is self-evident. Unfortunately, it is not. It is your responsibility, the person with a thought transforming it into idea, figuring out, okay, what is actually the benefit? So we had an example of a family that's trying to plan and book and schedule their travel. You identified some frustration in finding the best price and booking that. So what is the benefit here? Well, peace of mind. There's the benefit of saving on the expenses, and there's potentially the benefit of, well, having better time because everything else was better throughout that process. Now, what is very, 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 very important when you work with ideas in a business context, and here we are really talking about ideas in a business context, the benefits must be not just for that who that you identified, but you must be able to say what is the benefit to you, the person with an idea. That means for your organization, for yourself, and etc. Because you might have an idea that is liked, but let's say a family that wants to travel, but you ultimately cannot make a business out of it. And because we're talking about business ideas, we're really talking about identifying those ideas that can make a difference to your business as well, meaning that you should be able to sell it, you should be able to sell it at a certain volume for a certain price, etc. You cannot answer that question when you go from thought to an idea in half an hour, but you can at least answer, okay, there's this benefit to this specific people, and what I think for us would be, well, we could sell this as a service for a specific fee, and maybe this price. It doesn't have to be exact, but for you at least you get at the level where you have thought about, okay, what would be the benefit for me? It's not just giving it away. You might say, hey, Bruno, but I'm for impact business. We are not in a for-profit business. Okay, then switch the benefit for what is the impact your organization will make on the world. Easy. But if you do not have it, again, you haven't really thought this through, and therefore you don't have an idea yet.
Yes, I love the idea, and what a lot of companies and individuals fail to do is fraction the idea. Maybe it's not working as the first idea that you had. You shouldn't maybe put it aside immediately. You should maybe fraction it to what works and what doesn't. So some constant change around it, maybe looking to it at it from the other corner of the room.
Absolutely. So when we're talking about ideas, you should never limit yourself. We are talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, mankind is extremely creative. If you're on this call and you think yourself, I'm not creative, that is nonsense. Creativity is not just painting beautiful art pieces. That is a very limiting view of creativity. Creativity is about creating something out of nothing. If you go to your fridge and you can make a meal with what you have inside, you're creative. We will not go into discussion if it's edible or inedible. That is just the potential of your
Mine is
creativity.
always edible. I must be very creative.
Just to reiterate, and Isabella, you asked some important questions, so I just want to reiterate. Everybody on this call, you're going to be working with ideas daily. What's important is to recognize when you're facing a thought versus an idea. The easiest way is if you cannot write it down, answering who is this for, what is it about, and what is the benefit, you do not have an idea. You might wonder, like, but why should I bother, Bruno? It's right here, it's right here. You should bother because what's here is very difficult to put out there. If you just keep it here, you are going to become frustrated and think these people don't understand me. They don't get me. Why is it so difficult? Why nobody wants my idea? Why nobody wants to talk about it? Well, that is because you failed to extract it from here and turn it into something that can be treated. If you take a piece of paper and put your idea on it, what you want to do is this and that, because you are going to be working with hundreds and hundreds of ideas. You should be brutal to your ideas, but you should always be gentle with each other. When you give feedback to other people on their ideas, be gentle. Go hard on their ideas, crumple their papers, but do not crumple them and their spirits.
Well, I really like this empathy part of the story. We haven't discussed it before when we first met, but I really like it, and it's important to think about it. That we are part of the communities, not just us and our ideas. And what I would say about the thought, you know, all of us, we have a huge problem with having this monkey brain with thoughts coming and running, and us not catching them, not understanding, but making a real big pressure. If we extract just one idea from it, I think we have made a real impact on us, and then maybe on the community we're making. So less thoughts, more ideas.
Absolutely. And it's all connected. Again, it is perfectly human activity. Leverage it to the maximum. Implement these three simple practices. And I just want to say, if you're shy, didn't get to ask a question or anything, just put my name into the search, write to me. I'll help if I can share these questions. They're not top secret. They're easily available. Don't stress. You have what you need to work with ideas. There is no secret school, there is no secret training, there is no master class or some guru or someone. You just need to give permission to yourself. And that is something I find very important for people hailing from our part of the world, just because of the things that we went through and how values were set and what was allowed, what wasn't allowed. What's most important is that you give this permission to yourself to think for yourself, to act for yourself, and to care for yourself. If you can do that, you're going to help the community as well. It is not being selfish if you do that. And I just think it's important mentioning that as well.
And also to highlight what you already said, creativity. So to give yourself permission to be creative, you don't need to be hard skilled to succeed in life. There's everything else in the middle and in the between. So this is just one of the ways that you can showcase it. Bruna, I would just ask you one more time to just go in short words, in one word or a few words, just to remember, for us to remember three key paths of not, I wanted to say something that maybe wouldn't be appropriate, but let's say sabotage our idea.
Okay, yeah, I think I could guess what you wanted to say, but you self-censored. Okay. Thoughts are perfectly fine. What you should do with a thought, you should shape it into an idea. You do that by taking a piece of paper and answering three questions. Who is it for? What is it about? And what is the benefit for these people and for yourself? You answering these questions is your first step. From then on, test that idea, develop it further, and do not be afraid to throw it away. You're going to come up with hundreds and hundreds of ideas during your life. That is perfectly human thing to do.
The moral of the story is stay human in all this technology and focus on your ideas. Thank you, Bruno. It has been an enlightening talk. It was a pleasure to be here with you today. And I'm sure that I will extract some of your thoughts or ideas and plan them and implement them as soon as possible. I hope I was posing the right questions also, since, as you already said, our audience was a bit shy, but they can all find you through your social media, on your website, Bruno Peschitz, and please, I do encourage you to ask more questions and to extract everything you can from Bruno. Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you.
To all the audience, I wish you all a nice day, and I hope you will enjoy other great discussions, panels, and one-on-ones that are following in the next 3 days. Goodbye, and thank you all.